I left through the front gate using a dead man's name. They think escape requires broken chains and blood on the floor. But I escaped with a quill pen and a signature I copied by lamplight. The clerk trusted his ledger more than his eyes. The guard trusted the paper more than my face. And the dead man, whose name I borrowed, he'd been dead for 2 months when they recorded him in the book. In my homeland, I was trained to weigh gold dust by memory. Here, I learned that memory can weigh more than iron. They never knew what I was capable of. Not until the gate closed behind me. Is it possible to carry such a sharp truth without cutting yourself on it? I am assigned to the clerk's room on a Tuesday morning. The overseer does not explain. He points at the door and walks away. Inside, the air smells like dust and old ink. Paper stacks lean against wooden shelves. A narrow desk sits beneath a window with bars. The clerk is a thin white man with spectacles that slide down his nose. He does not look at me when I enter. "You'll copy what I tell you to copy," he says. "Nothing more." I nod. He hands me a quill. The feather is gray and worn at the tip. I sit on a stool in the corner. The wood is cold through my shirt. Paper rules louder than voices here. I see that immediately. Names become people only after ink touches the page. Before that, they are nothing. My strategy is silence and attention. I learn before I move. The day closes with ledgers locked away in a cabinet with brass handles. I copy tallies the next morning. Numbers for barrels, numbers for cotton bales, numbers for men working the docks. I notice dates corrected but names left untouched. The clerk scratches through a 7 and writes an 8 above it. The name beside the number stays the same. The scratch of the pen triggers something in me. I remember my uncle's shop in Kumasi, gold dust on a wooden scale. My small fingers adjusting the bronze weights while he watched. "Accuracy," he said, "is everything. But here, accuracy means appearance, not truth." I begin watching for repetition. The clerk copies names from old lists into new ones. Sometimes he changes a letter. Sometimes he does not bother. No one checks his work. A man from the docks coughs blood on Thursday afternoon. I see him through the window. He leans against a barrel and slides down slowly. His knees fold. His head drops. The clerk hears about it an hour later. He records the death without leaving his chair. His pen moves smoothly across the page. He writes the man's name, the date, and the word dysentery, even though he did not see the blood. That ease unsettles me. I carry the ledger back to the shelf. The spine is worn leather, cracked at the edges. I am already thinking about what death means on paper. I review yesterday's entries the next morning. The clerk allows this. He thinks I am learning his system. I see the dead man's name neatly crossed through. One horizontal line in black ink. The sight pulls me somewhere else. I remember funeral marks in my village. Symbols drawn in white clay on the doorway of the dead man's home. They were meant to guide spirits, not erase them. Here, crossing out is enough. I return to the present knowing this system believes in surfaces. New river passages are announced on Monday. The clerk complains about the work, he mutters while sharpening his pen. More names to track, he says. More paper to waste. I observe his pride in speed and order, never in verification. I note which names he copies from old lists and which he invents fresh. He pulls from memory sometimes. Other times, he glances at a roster pinned to the wall. No one questions him. The white man thinks his writing makes things real. He does not understand that reality existed before his pen touched it. I am sent to the docks to deliver inventory counts on Wednesday. The air there smells like tar and wet rope. Men haul sacks from boats to wagons. Their backs shine with sweat. I meet an older laborer near the pilings. His hair is white at the temples. His hands are scarred from years of rope burn. He looks at me and nods once. I nod back. We do not speak, but something passes between us. Recognition, not of faces, but of understanding. I return with the smell of river water still on me. The clerk lectures me on Friday about how writing preserves truth. He gestures at the ledgers with his ink-stained fingers. Without these records, he says, everything would be chaos. Men would lie. Numbers would shift. This, he taps the page, is what keeps order. His certainty triggers a memory. My uncle warning me in the marketplace! His voice low near my ear. Lies survive longest when written carefully, he said. I begin to suspect that the ledger itself can be turned, that the same system which binds us might be used differently. The thought does not comfort me. It only clarifies the path. At dusk, I watch the gate from the clerk's window. Men leave with passas, clutched in their hands. The guard checks each paper. He glances at the signature and waves them through. No one looks at faces on the Hachi paper. I end the day understanding the flaw. Belief without sight. The white man trusts what is written more than what stands before him. That is when I know what must be done. The dock laborer speaks to me 3 days later. We stand near the water at dawn. Fog hangs low over the river. No one else is close. He tells me which men vanished into the river and which vanished south. His voice is steady. He does not waste words. One name returns again and again in his telling. The man marked dead last week. The one who coughed blood. They wrote him down wrong. The laborer says, he's been gone 2 months. I store this knowledge quietly, like a tool placed carefully in a box. I do not forget. I never forget. While copying passes on Thursday, I see how signatures are reused. The clerk signs with a flourish. The capital letter curves the same way each time. But small variations exist. The tail of the final stroke sometimes drops lower. Sometimes it lifts. The motion of the pen triggers another memory. My uncle teaching me to alter a gold weight by a single grain. Not enough to notice in one transaction, enough to matter over months. Consistency, he said, matters more than perfection. Here, consistency matters more than identity. I realize the system does not care who I am. It cares that the paper looks correct. I hesitate that night in the cabin. The cost of remembering to clearly presses against my chest. If I do this, others will know what I am capable of. That knowledge becomes its own cage. I acknowledge the fear. I let it sit in my throat. Then I continue, because strategy requires truth. The dead man's name is the cleanest path. No one will look for him. No one will question his movement. I decide. My hand finds the bronze weight in my pocket. It is still there. I carry it always. I speak to the dock laborer at night. We meet behind the storage shed. The moon is a thin crescent. Our shadows barely exist. I am careful with words. I do not say what I plan. I only ask. The man who died, I say. What was his pass number? The laborer tells me, without asking why I need it. Our bond forms not in trust, but in shared risk. He understands what I am doing without me naming it. He gives me the number. I repeat it once in my mind. That is when I know the next part will be harder. The memory is the key, but using it requires precision I have never attempted before. The weight in my pocket feels heavier now. I walk back to the cabin with the number locked in my mind like a door I can open any time. The stars are bright. The night is cold. I do not sleep. I copy a new pass draft on Friday morning. The clerk is distracted. He argues with an overseer about wagon delays. I work at the small desk in the corner. My hand moves slowly. I match the spacing exactly. The ink pressure stays consistent. I remember my uncle inspecting weights, how he held them up to lamplight, how he felt for balance with his fingertips. The paper looks right. That frightens me more than chains ever did. Chains are honest. They do not pretend to be something else. Paper pretends constantly. We test the system. On Monday, the dock laborer sends cargo under the dead name. A single crate of nails marked for transport south. The clerk approves the paperwork without pause. His pen scratches across the authorization form. He does not look up. The crate moves. I learned that the name now moves freely through the system. It is real because it is written. It is trusted because it was written before. The white man thinks ink creates truth. He does not see that ink only records what we tell it to record. Doubt presses in on Tuesday night. I sit on the cabin floor with my back against the wall. The bronze weight rests in my palm. I remember the moment of my capture, the sound of men shouting in Portuguese, the net falling over me in the forest, my hesitation when I should have run. That hesitation cost me everything. I choose not to hesitate again. The weight goes back into my pocket. The dock laborer gives me the pass at dawn on Wednesday. We meet at the same place. The fog is thicker this time. Water slaps against the pilings. He hands me the folded paper without speaking. I unfold it once to check. The dead man's name is written clearly. The pass number, the signature looks identical to the clerk's hand. He does not smile. Neither do I. I carry the name as if it weighs something. Because it does. It weighs exactly as much as my freedom. I approach the clerk's desk my hands are steady. My breathing is controlled. The sight of the ledger triggers no memory now, only focus. I place the pass down in front of him. Authorization for river work. I say. He glances at it. His eyes move across the name and number. He reaches for his stamp. I wait. The clerk signs without looking up. His pen moves in the familiar flourish. Ink dries on paper. He hands the pass back to me. "Take this to the gate," he says. "They'll let you through for dock duty." I nod once. I step away. Before doubt can surface, before my face can betray anything. The paper in my hand seals my movement. At the gate, the guard checks the paper. He is a young white man with sunburned skin. He squints at the signature. He holds the pass up to the light. The memory of my village gate flashes through me. Gods who knew every child by name. Who checked faces, not papers. Who remembered births and deaths and marriages. This gate opens for strangers. The guard nods and waves me through. I walk forward. I match the pace expected of the dead man. Not too fast, not too slow. Every step feels borrowed, like I am wearing someone else's skin. The road stretches ahead. Trees line both sides. No one stops me. No one calls out. The white man thinks the dead cannot walk. He does not imagine that death on paper means nothing to the living. The river air hits my lungs, sharp and cold, real. I do not run. Running belongs to the guilty. Running attracts eyes. I move, as the paper instructs, as if I have permission, as if this is ordinary. My hand finds the bronze weight in my pocket. It is still there. In my land, this meant balance. It meant fairness, measured carefully. Here, it means survival. I glance back once. The dock laborer is still working. He hauls rope onto a wagon. His movements are steady. The cost settles heavy in my chest. He took the risk with me. He may pay for it later. I do not soften that truth. Survival rarely spares everyone. Sometimes it only spares one. I turn forward again and keep walking. Down the road. The plantation fades behind trees. The smell of tar and cotton disappears. The air tastes different. I release the name quietly, like setting down a tool I no longer need. The dead man can rest now. I am done borrowing his freedom. I continue as myself again. Kofi, son of a goldsmith, nephew of a man who taught me that precision can be a weapon. The bronze weight stays in my pocket. I do not know where I am going, only that I am going. I speak to you now, knowing this truth resists being told. The white man does not believe stories like mine. He thinks escape requires force, requires violence, and blood, and broken chains. I escaped not by force, but by understanding belief. They trusted the dead more than the living. They trusted paper more than breath. That is how I walked out the front gate, with a dead man's name and a clerk's signature and a system that never looked at my face. I do not forget. I never forget. The memory of the bronze weight, the memory of my uncle's hands, the memory of the moment I chose not to hesitate. These are the tools that carried me through. I am free now, because I remembered what they tried to make me forget, that I was trained to see what others miss. That accuracy is everything. 3 months later, I stand on a dock in Philadelphia. The sun is setting. The water glows orange. My hand rests on the railing. The bronze weight is gone now. I sold it for passage north, but the memory of its shape remains in my palm. I do not need it anymore. I carry the lesson instead.